All right, welcome everybody to Under the Dome. Oh, look, Calvin's already on here. Welcome everybody to Under the Dome. Holy crap. I haven't heard that much static since the old Saints games on AM radio. All right, you there, Sean?
I'm experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, man. You got it?
I think I do.
All right. Like I said, I haven't heard that much static since the old AM radio days of listening to Saints games on both WWL and WGSO 1260. Anyway, welcome everybody to Under the Dome. I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, with my partner, Sean Williams. You got all your stuff to take care of, huh?
God only knows.
Well, look who joined the chat right away and had to say something. Calvin. Who that? Roll Tide, Super Bowl and national champion all the same year. Let's go. I tell you what, I'd like to have
Did you really anticipate there being any other outcome? Really? You got Nick Saban and the best team that money can buy. Come on.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to have a couple of those Alabama receivers for Sunday's game. They could not cover. I mean, he scored 3 touchdowns. Goes out with looks like a broken hand or a broken finger. Najee Harris, just unstoppable. So
yeah. I'll hand it to you can dislike them and hate on them all that you want to, but when it comes down to it doesn't matter from year to year to year. They don't rebuild, they reload. And you can't dispute the success that they've had. And as much as it pains me to say this, there's no doubt in my mind that by the time he's done, if not already, Nick Saban will go down as the greatest college coach ever.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw it this year. Here you lose Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy, both in the draft. What comes behind them? Waddle and Smith, and then they're going to leave. And they'll have 2 more guys come up right behind them. How many running backs have gone through there? It's just they lose Tua. They lose Tua's younger brother who transferred. Mac Jones comes in. They got a kid behind him, and they probably got another kid in line for him. So, yeah, it's a machine. Yeah. But I'm just – that was the thing about – and he was from Louisiana, Meade High School, Devontae Smith. The thing about that game, I thought that game was basically over when the Ohio State running back left the game. It looked like it was a broken clavicle bone, but he had something going on with his shoulder too. When they lost him, they were done because Fields needed that running game to take the pressure off of him, and it made it a lot easier for Alabama's defense just to tee off on him. So it was.
You cannot play Alabama in a position when you are in a position of being one-dimensional.
Yeah,
because they're too good for that.
Yep. Yeah, and what? Yeah, he did. He left the game in the very first play. He did, and that was it. That game was. It's amazing to sit there and say that, but the game was over because he really made the difference in the semifinal game in the Sugar Bowl with Clemson because they couldn't just focus on one dimension of the game. Yeah. And Fields put on a show and the running back put on a show. It was impressive. It really was. When you talk about Alabama earlier, I mean, Saban, that's his 6th national championship with Alabama. He's been to the national championship game, I think, 8 times?
He went twice with LSU, did he not?
No, he went once with LSU. Went 2003 with LSU. Les Miles went in 2007 and 2011. So,
okay.
Chad, blah blah blah. You don't want to hear any more about Alabama.
Well,
but the only
way we can top talking about Alabama is to get on to the next subject, which is Tom Brady.
Yeah. He won 2003. He won with LSU, and 2007 was Les Miles.
Yeah,
and then 2011 was the Les Miles versus Nick Saban national championship game.
Yeah, the 50-yard game.
Yep. Well, and they were so mad because they had beaten them in Alabama earlier that year.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that because I went to a Saints game with a couple of my good friends who are huge LSU fans, and they were so pissed about that game coming up.
No, I was too. Man.
We were going to the Monday night game against the Giants, and that's all they kept talking about the whole time we were there. It shouldn't happen. They played him once. You don't get to play him again,
Yeah, and even yet and still, the game as it developed, it was so aggravating and frustrating because you had a better quarterback sitting on the sidelines that you absolutely refused to play.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that. Now you're starting to sound like my friend Doug McGinnity, who I went to high school with him. He's an attorney here, and Doug and I were going round and round about that back in 2011. That was, and my wife had taught. Well, no, she didn't teach Justin. She taught Ricky Jefferson and Jordan Jefferson. No, the which one's in the league now? Is that Justin? Justin. She taught Justin. She taught Ricky. She didn't teach Jordan, the quarterback.
Yeah.
She because they all came from Destrehan.
Yeah.
All right. So enough about that. Let's talk about this great Saints win. And the rematch with Brady. The only real surprise I had all weekend was probably the Rams beating Seattle. I didn't think that was going to happen, especially with once they knocked that quarterback out and they made Goff go in and play with the bad finger. I really thought Seattle's defense would just tee off on him, and ended up they couldn't stop the run. And, Goff made just enough completions to, beat them. But the Rams defense, this is why I didn't want to play the Rams. The Rams defense just beat the hell out of Russell Wilson. I was just about to call him Lamar Jackson.
Like we were talking about off the air, there's just been something about that Seahawks team this year that has been off. And in my opinion, I think it's on the defensive side of the ball. They don't have that Legion of Boom. They don't have that outstanding linebacker core and that incredible front four that they had back then. And the book is out on Russell Wilson. You know what he is and you know what he's going to do. Now, it's still incumbent on you to stop it. But at this point in the season, or in the postseason, I'll say it that way, you're not playing average teams. They're going to take away the thing that you do best, and you're going to have to beat them with something else. And offensively, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, that's what brought them to the dance. And if you take that away from them, they're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, and Calvin said it. They have no offensive line. They can't run the football. They haven't had a go-to running back since Marshawn Lynch, and they need that because that player makes Russell Wilson's job so much easier.
Yeah,
because you can't just drop 7 in the coverage and rush 4. Yeah. They have to bring a safety down. They have to bring an extra linebacker down. They didn't do this, and their line has never been the same since their Super Bowl years. So,
and also you don't have Richard Sherman back there defending the pass. You don't have the kid from Texas, the safety.
Yeah,
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, Earl Thomas, and you don't have Chancellor either. But what made that secondary so good was the front seven.
Yes,
the front seven got the pressure. So you made quarterbacks speed up their clock, throw the ball earlier. All the kind of things we were doing basically to Tom Brady in the 2 wins that we got against the Bucs, and also we did to Trubisky during the game Sunday. The Buffalo game, didn't surprise me. I didn't think the Colts stood a chance.
No. I think it was a lot closer than what I envisioned.
Yeah. Well, that call at the end of the game that everyone's talking about, whether or not that was a fumble because the receiver caught the ball, got up, but lost the football basically right after he got up, but they called it down by contact. That could have been a huge call if they could have gotten range to kick the field goal to tie it to send in overtime, and it just didn't work out. That it didn't happen, but that was a huge call. But yeah, Phillip Rivers. I don't know if this is the end of his career or not. But
I believe it. I hate to say it this way because it sounds so cold and callous, but I think it ought to be. You're not going to win the Super Bowl on an average team. And in my opinion, the Colts at best are average. They've got a really good running back, and you've got the experience of Phillip Rivers. But, I mean, that still is not enough.
He's not their future. And they're going to draft a quarterback or bring a quarterback in that's younger to be their future. That's just the reality of the Colts. They have it. They envision going further. Phillip Rivers was a stopgap to maybe get them further in the playoffs, but he's not their future. The other big upset of the weekend was, which I didn't think was much of an upset, but the Browns just beating the crap out of the Steelers.
That was the one that surprised me the most. Now, I was a little surprised that Tennessee lost to Baltimore. I wasn't shocked, but now the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game was somewhat shocking to me.
Yeah.
Not just that they won, but how convincingly they won.
That was a bit of a surprise. I didn't think it would be that close. I thought it would be like the Tennessee Ravens game, Baltimore game, where both teams looked like they had a shot at winning this game. Tennessee, their biggest problem was they couldn't run the football. That whole defense was keyed on every time King Henry, I couldn't remember his first name, Derrick Henry. King Henry got the football. It was not just one guy; it was a dozen guys coming to tackle him every time he got the football. So the passing game was open, and you saw that in the first half for Tannehill. But once the Ravens started getting the ball and rushing the football and putting pressure on Tannehill, that was it. They decided Henry wasn't going to beat us. We're going to put pressure on Tannehill and take our chances with this passing game, and that was it for them. The Steelers, we saw hints that this was going to happen to them during the season when they were 11-0. They struggled against the Cowboys. They struggled against a lot of teams. They lost to the Washington football team. So this was coming. I just was surprised it was 28-0 before the end of the first quarter. I mean,
to me, you could kind of see it coming with the feast or famine play of Ben Roethlisberger. He's either looking like a Super Bowl MVP or he's looking like the village idiot. And unfortunately for Pittsburgh, on Sunday night, he threw 4 turnovers. So,
well, everybody talks about Drew Brees' arm and how he's lost his arm strength and so on. But it's clear as the season progressed, Ben Roethlisberger lost his arm strength. Yeah. He was not throwing with the same authority he was throwing back in September. And this is what happens to aging quarterbacks. They're not as sharp when it gets to December. And this is what fans have been saying about Brees since at least 2016, that, as the season's gone on, he's not looked as sharp. He's looked slower. The passes float a lot more. And we saw Brees made a comment earlier that he had some issues early in the season with his shoulder. And then with the rib injury, he was having issues. And that's why we're seeing a better ball out of Drew Brees now than we saw back in September, when it was like all he was doing was throwing, we heard about air yards. He was only throwing check downs and stuff like that. And that's a good thing for him. But with Roethlisberger, clearly that was played a huge role in so many turnovers. My son says, what happened to the Steelers is a accumulation of what happened ever since they lost the Packers in Super Bowl 45. Well, they got old after Super Bowl 45. That team was getting old, and they've had a lot of injuries. But the biggest problem with the Steelers is they can't run the football. And that's unbelievable to say that about Pittsburgh. But ever since they had the issues with Bell, they've never really adequately replaced Bell with a 3-down running back. Yeah. Connor is good, but not great.
Connor has played 2, maybe 3 seasons now, not nearly at full strength. I mean, he's been nicked up. He's been injured. You've never had him since he came to the Steelers. You've never had him I take that back. His rookie season was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But ever since then, you haven't had him for the entire 17-week run where he was at full strength.
Well, I misread this comment the first time I looked through it. It says, Big Ben is different from Brees and Brady. He doesn't take care of himself. Pro Jay Glazer, Big Ben's version of working out is a few minutes of yoga and a beer. When I first read that, I thought it said a few minutes of porn and a beer. And I was like, what?
Okay, but now we know where Alan's head is at.
Oh, I didn't. It's yoga. Yeah, and I did like that too, Anna. Drew getting to the camera. Loved it, even if you didn't make the TV. Speaking of porn, that was probably the most awkward 2 minutes of review time in the history of football. Sure. When they were talking about the dive play and the tip, just breaking the plane, pulling out too soon, pulling back too soon. And, you're listening, Romo's laughing, Nance is trying to be professional, but he's laughing,
the first time that they showed it, I said, he didn't make that.
Yeah. I felt bad. I mean, because I wrote this in my review of the the Sunday evening game, Good, Bad, and Ugly. It was going up 28-3 in that game was like when the 72 Dolphins tried to go up 17-0 to make a 17-0 season. And of course it was the fumble by Garo Yepremian when they had the bad snap, and he tried to throw the ball, and Bass for the Redskins picked it off and ran it away for a touchdown to make it 14-7. Like Larry Zonka said, every time you try to tempt fate comes around and kicks you right square in the ass. And that's kind of what happened on this. Brees couldn't leap as far as he normally leapt because he was conscious of the ribs, and he didn't fully extend, the ball over. He kind of did a quickie, which again, snicker, Beavis and Butthead jokes. But yeah, he put it out and then pulled it back quickly, just hoping it would break the plane, and it wasn't.
Well, looking at it objectively, number one, I do love the fact that he was more concerned about ball security than he was about whether or not he got in the end zone.
Yeah.
And number two, it was not the worst thing in the world to turn the ball over on downs at the 1 inch line.
Absolutely not. No, the only issue I think, and Ralph Marlboro addressed it earlier in the day when he saw some of the other things that were going on in the games. Running the quarterback, the Rams running the quarterback sneak with Goff having a bad finger. He said that's about as stupid as running the Drew Brees leap with Brees with injured ribs. And sure enough, they did it. And Ralph's like, I was joking and you did it. But, they really wanted to get that extra touchdown. And the Bears really packed in that defense tightly. I kept waiting for the Kamara pitch play. I thought that was a play they were going to run where you would have split.
It would have worked.
I think it would have too. You split Josh Hill out wide. You have Taysom go in motion and then snap back across like he's going to get the pitch. And instead you pitch it out to Kamara and let him run to the corner. But I guess I didn't like the look. That really works. That play works very well when you're on the far hash marks, not when you're dead center, because he gets the edge.
Well, to be honest, in that situation with a 4th and goal, regardless of what you run, I like the chances with Alvin Kamara way better than I do Drew going over the top.
I did, and I think that was I think Drew lobbied for that play. I really do. Yeah, I did see Urinating Trees live stream of the Steelers Browns game. That was hilarious. I made a comment, and I'll talk about this for a minute in a minute about Nickelodeon. I made a comment about Urinating Tree. He's a guy on YouTube, Urinating Trees live stream of the game, that I would never do a Saints live stream in the game because I would melt down as quickly as this guy did. I mean, he just lasted 28-0 and then he cut it off. But he ripped off his jersey, he's cussing, he's throwing a terrible towel, and I'm like, yeah, people don't need to see that. They don't need to see me.
Well, even still, when it got to halftime, it was 35-10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even then, I did not believe that game was over, because Pittsburgh is a team that can get hot and bring it back on you.
Again, I'm listening to Chris Collins Worthless, and he said when it was 28-0, he said, now you realize every Browns fan does not feel comfortable with this lead, that they know they can blow it. I'm like, as a Saints fan, I totally relate. I completely relate to that. But yeah,
we get down 28-0, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, we got them right where we want them.
Yeah, as long as Drew's out there, yeah. But no, if they did a live stream, I live streamed a football game with me watching the game, people would think I'm reenacting scenes from The Untouchables out with Robert De Niro playing Al Capone. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. I want to piss on the ashes. Yeah, that's me. I mean,
I can relate to that.
That and carrying a baseball bat, talking about baseball, and just whacking somebody. Yeah, no, that's not a good scene. That is never a good scene. It's a cross. It's like Joe Pesci from Casino and Goodfellas and Robert De Niro from The Untouchables combined together to create a Saints fan during a game when things aren't going well. Yeah, that would be me. That's not a good scene.
Have that Tourette's thing happening.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I don't get so excitable like that too much anymore. Now, I was almost asked to leave Buffalo Wild Wings in the NFC Championship game with the Rams for obvious reasons.
Well, I've said this many times. People 3 streets over knew that was pass interference. In fact, they didn't know it was just passing; it was pass effing interference. Yeah. So I mean, they knew because I had all my windows open. It was one of those days, not like what you got, but it was one of those nice January days where it was sunny outside. It was cool, but not cold. I got my windows open. There's a good breeze blowing through the house and everything else, and I'm enjoying the football game. And that play happens, and no flags. And I'm like, what the? That's passing. Yeah. So I was irrational. I really was. I mean,
So was I. But I mean,
yeah.
Let's not get our blood pressure up.
No, I do. I don't want to tempt fate. So
my biggest concern, and I'll go ahead and say this: I am not afraid of the Buccaneers. Make no mistake about that.
I'm not either. I'm afraid of the officials, but I'm not afraid of the Buccaneers.
Yes. I can see it in my mind's eye that Tom Brady play where you got a defensive back on this side of the field and a wide receiver over there, and that was pass interference.
No, it's not that. It's not the defensive back and the receiver. It's the referee or the official on the far side of the field throwing a flag on a play where he is completely on the opposite side of the play, throwing a flag and calling a penalty from there. That's the kind of shit that burns my ass. You know what else burns my ass? A flame about this high. But
yeah, I can very vividly in my mind, I can picture those kind of things coming into play is when we're playing them for the 3rd time this season.
Yeah.
And for the playing for the opportunity to advance to the NFC Championship, because that the national media is just salivating over
absolutely
Brady getting back to the big game without Belichick, and
they don't want the Rams. They don't want the Rams either. They want Brady and Breeze. Then for the NFC Championship, Brady and Rodgers. Then Brady and Mahomes. That's what they want because
do you remember when Kansas City played Tampa this year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was ugly.
But
it was ugly quick.
Right, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were coming back. So their attitude is, well, they learned their mistakes. They won't make the mistakes early in the game, and you'll get the good shootout they want. That's the mentality, because you remember also the Bucs beat Rodgers the first time around badly, but they want to see that revenge game too. So yeah, it's that's what's got me really concerned about this game. So I saw enough things in the Bears game that concerns me that this game could turn out that way. Simply because I don't think the offense looked very sharp in the first half. Right. I thought they looked better in the second half where they were able to wear the defense down.
Yeah.
But I'm really concerned that Tampa Bay is going to tee off on Breeze and not set back in the zone defenses they were in against Washington and against us in the other 2 games. And I was going to tell you this one thing real quick. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, our favorite player, managed to get another receiver for the Bears kicked out of a game. And on Twitter, they played a clip, and I retweeted it. They played a clip from the first game of the season, the Saints Bucs, where Tom Brady's screaming for pass interference like he always does. And the quote from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was, let me pull this thing up again. I had it up earlier. Where is it? Here. No. Okay. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson told Brady, and you can pull this up, look for my, that address. That address on Twitter. You can find it. I retweeted this. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson told Brady, "Stop that effing crying, boy. You're a grown-ass man." Told that to Brady. Brady spun around and said, "F you, 22," and he didn't say F. Yeah. You little bitch, F you. And you can hear it clear as day, Brady screaming at him. And, you hear Buck talking over it. But when Buck stops for a second, you can hear Brady scream back at him, So that gives you an idea, at least to me, what Brady not what Brady, the kind of stuff Chauncey Gardner-Johnson must tell these players that must piss them off all day long.
So far, it's seemingly worked in his favor. So far.
Yeah, it has. Well, he got the penalty for Sunday when he didn't do anything because he's getting a reputation. He's instigating players to punch him. So I don't think he deserved that personal foul penalty, but he got that call because Anthony Miller got thrown out of the game. That was the keep it close kind of call I always say. So Chad's saying just run the football. We don't have to worry about it. I think we match up better versus the Bucs than we do the Bears, even though I thought we were a better team than the Bears, because you have 5 ex-Saints on the Bears or Sunday. You had
say that again.
John Jenkins. You had 5 ex-Saints on the Bears team. You had John Jenkins, Akiem Hicks, Manti Te'o, Jimmy Graham, and I'm missing one. There's one other one. Who was still Mario Edwards Jr. You had 5 ex-Saints playing on that, and 4 of them on defense. Akiem Hicks, there's a clip of this on YouTube too, growling like a bear. And I'm old enough that I can make this reference. You might remember this movie. You remember Coal Miner's Daughter? Tommy Lee Jones and Sissy Spacek. Sissy Spacek plays. And Tommy Lee Jones is supposed to be Loretta Lynn's husband. And she goes, and she says, "Stop making that noise. You sound like a big old bear growling." Well, Akiem Hicks is walking around going, like this. And Pete finally goes, "Who you growling at like that?" Because, again, there's no crowd. So you can hear all this stuff on the sideline. And apparently Akiem Hicks is mic'd up. He says, "I'm growling at number 9. And he goes, "I'm going to come after you too, Petey boy." And I'm like, "What are you, Mr. T? Hey, boy. Hey, boy." Now, it's like Mr. T from Eddie Murphy Delirious, but, it's just.
Well, ever since he left New Orleans, for some reason, Akiem Hicks has been very angry with the Saints organization.
Well, yeah.
And I know it did your heart good to see Graham get in the end zone.
Well, and a lot of people talking about this, but I laughed more than anything else about it because here the Bears have no receivers. They go 0 for 9 on 3rd down. The only time they finally move the ball is when the Saints are looking at the clock more than paying attention to what the hell's going on. They get that garbage touchdown. Graham makes an unbelievable catch.
That was an insane catch.
He throws the ball to the ground and walks straight out into the locker room because it's no time left anyway. They don't even kick the extra point because you don't kick an extra point if you're not going to tie it. Game's over. He knew it. And it's like Graham caught 2 passes the whole game, and both of them on that drive. It's like he's pissed off at the Bears as well as the Saints, but he's pissed off at the Bears. I'm on the sideline. You got no receivers. Why am I not out here? You throwing me the ball instead of Trubisky just screwing around going 0 for 9 on 3rd down.
Yeah, well, since he left New Orleans, every team that Graham has been with, they have not had a clue how to use it. Either that or they just refuse to.
Well, I've always agreed with the idea that he is a giant receiver. You have to use him as a receiver. Yes, he's a tight end. He can chip block, but he's not going to run block for you. And you line him up outside the numbers and you throw to him like a receiver. I know a lot of people are just like, he's soft. He drops too many passes. Hey, man, you watching Jared Cook out there. Jared Cook's probably the most frustrating player on the Saints roster right now.
I'll give you that one.
Because he drops a lot of passes that you're like, it was right there. Why didn't you catch that one? He'll make the tough catches.
Yeah.
But the easy ones that are right in his hands, he drops. He's incredibly frustrating. And you feel like and he does dumb things out there too. He runs poor routes sometimes. Like his head's not in the game. So that's frustrating because he is a superior matchup in this offense that, I agree, Calvin. Draft Kyle Pitts. I think they do that in the first round if he's available. But, he's just a frustrating player because he's not dependable. He's not reliable. And he should be in this offense with these kind of passes being thrown to him. He's got the matchups beat. That one play that breezed through to him, he hadn't even turned around yet. And that ball was coming. It like it was going to hit him in the back, and he kind of caught it out of self-defense.
Yeah.
And it gave us a first down. The Bears were shocked he caught it. But, it's just he makes the tough catches and drops the easy ones. You get frustrated with that.
I got the impression watching that, especially in the first half, that you had all these, for lack of a better word, you had all these new players back in rotation, and it was like all the chemistry that was ever there wasn't there now. It's like they had to get all of that back. Now in the second half, I love the fact that they started to go kind of up tempo and just hit. In the first half, they looked listless. They didn't look like they had the chemistry that they should have had. I say should have had. It's really probably not fair to say that they should have when these guys haven't really played together for so long.
Well, the Bears, their secondary was beat up, so they were double covering Michael Thomas. Then they were also moving a lot of coverage, bracketing Emmanuel Sanders. So, Calvin said they had no answer for Harris. No, because they had nobody left. And Harris took advantage of that, and he had a great game.
He did.
That's why it was so frustrating about Cook, because Cook should have been taking advantage of that stuff too, and he really wasn't. I felt that they knew to get to Breeze and to affect Breeze and Brady too, but to really affect Breeze, you have to get in his face, and that means attacking the interior. And I thought Ruiz and McCoy really struggled most of the game. I thought Andres Pete had a terrible first half, outstanding second half. And yes. I don't know if it was a commitment to the run, and him running the football so well, but you run behind Pete, you run behind Armstead, you're getting yardage. And I thought Ruiz drew the short end of the stick. He was up against Hicks, and Hicks was giving him all he could handle for a rookie. And this week he's going to have to go up against, I'm pretty sure he's going to have to go up against Sue. So again, it's going to be a tough matchup for Ruiz.
Welcome to the NFL.
Hey, but I think Tampa plays much more zone with the two linebackers, David and not Minter. Minter just went on COVID, but the one just came off of COVID from LSU. Devin White.
Yeah.
Those two guys can be shadowing Kamara everywhere. That's what they're going to try and take away the check down plays. So it's going to be up to Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Harris, all to stretch that secondary and attack the zones on that secondary. Because what he does is rushes 4, gets the 2 linebackers in the middle zone because they can both run sideline to sideline, occasionally blitzing them, and then having his secondary drop back in a soft shell and keep everything in front of him. Don't let nothing deep, nothing cheap, nothing over the top. So we can pick those guys apart if Cook shows up to play, if Harris shows up to play. Oh, not Harris, I'm sorry. If the offensive line shows up to play and gives Breeze the protection he needs, and we can just pick them apart everywhere.
I've been really impressed with Breeze's commitment to getting that ball out of there quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And when he does that, it's just boom, 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 right down the field.
Yeah, and I think Harris takes the pressure off of Kamara because they try and shadow Kamara or double cover Kamara or follow Kamara everywhere, then Harris is going to burn them. Because if you put Thomas and Kamara on one side and you got Sanders and Harris on the other side, they don't know where to go. They're not going to know where to rotate the defense. They're really not. And that's why I said Cook needs to have a great game. I'm worried about Latavius Murray being injured. I thought he had the play of the game on that second touchdown play where, Khalil Mack, he's supposed to cut block him. He doesn't do a good job. Khalil Mack kind of steps over him, and he rolled up, hopped up on his feet, stuck his hand up like, Breeze, I'm right here for you. I missed my block, but I'm here for you. Caught the ball, and there's nobody around. Easy touchdown. Yeah. That was a great play.
I was so impressed with the way Breeze handled that play.
It was just it was a great play. It was a perfect play to run. Okay, speaking of perfect plays, and I'm going to let you talk after this. I've been talking a lot in this show. Let's talk about Taysom Hill's fumble because that's the big elephant in the room. That play, I think it may have been you or Avery Perkins that texted me at the time. Sorry, guys, I got a drink. But upset that the Saints got cute at the wrong time. And I want to talk about this play and how it really was Hill's fault for not throwing the ball sooner. If you look at the all 22, the Bears saw Taysom Hill come into the lineup. They had been setting this play up with him running every time. So what did they do? Both safeties came down into the box. You had a 9-man front. You had Harris on one side, Trotman on the end, and I think you had Thomas on the other. Thomas and Harris run go routes. Trotman runs a deep, like a banana route, they call it.
Yeah.
And Taysom Hill, they're all in single coverage too, and nobody's covering Trotman. Nobody's in the middle of the field. Taysom Hill takes 3 hitches and pats the ball before he decides to throw the ball. If he just takes 2 hitches and doesn't pat it, just lets it rip, they can't knock his hand and knock the ball out. Throw it as deep as you can. Harris is going to get it. He's burned his man. If you still don't think Harris has got open yet, Trotman is wide open in the middle of the field. Nobody on him. Make the decision, throw the football.
That's something that he's going to get better at as he gets those snaps and as he gets that experience.
Yeah, and it frustrated me because as he's doing, I'm going, throw Taysom, it's there, throw. And I don't even see the receiver because I'm looking at the TV. But I can tell by the timing and how many people are coming at him. Somebody's in single coverage. There ain't no safety back there. There's 9 people in the box. You can see them all. I can see the jersey numbers. And he took that 3rd hitch. I'm like, son of a bitch. He's going to get sacked. I didn't think it was going to get tipped, but I said he's going to get sacked unless he launches that thing. And yeah, it frustrated me to no end because it was the perfect play. You put the fear of God, we would have been up 14-0 there. Yeah. Because that was the only points the Bears got, really. I'm not counting the final touchdown.
No, the garbage time.
I'm talking about the only points the Bears got. They didn't even get a first down on that drive. They get the ball on the Saints 14. They go backwards. Mm-hmm. And they had to kick a field goal. So it was frustrating as anything. Yeah, I don't know if Taysom is our future or not. He's the only one we have. We have Drew under contract, but he's the guy we have under contract. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I know. Winston would have thrown it, but Winston. This is the other thing too. If Winston or Breeze is in there, that play doesn't work because they don't respect their ability to run the football.
True.
They only put 9 guys in the box because they said that he's not going to throw it; he's going to run it. Deontay Harris was his main target. Deontay Harris had the guy beat, but I keep thinking about what Peyton Manning said his rookie year to Archie. Dad, no one is open in the NFL because in college football, people are wide the fuck open. In the pros, you got to throw people open, and that's what he didn't do. He needed to throw Deontay Harris open. Harris would have got the ball, and at worst, you overthrew him. That's the worst thing could have happened. You overthrew him if you let that ball go early. But yeah, it's frustrating. It was a frustrating play. So
I think that there was a lot of those little things like that in that first half. The timing off, a missed block here, a mistake there. And in the second half, to me, it was a tale of two halves because the first half, I was really concerned. Because I remember I texted you, I've seen this movie before and the ending sucks.
Yeah. It is frustrating because like I said, because of the defense, and we haven't talked anything about the defense yet, but because of the defense, we could play slot defense for a first half and not be down and instead, blow this team out. They had a shot with one trick play that Wims dropped. He was wide open. He beat Marcus Williams badly. And he dropped the ball, and that was the turning point of the whole ball game because they were never the same after that play.
No,
that was their play. They had been working on and setting up, and it really caught the Saints off guard. And you didn't get it, so you got nothing out of that drive. You ended up punting because you didn't even get a field goal attempt. So let's talk a little bit about the defense. Okay, so we had no Trey Hendrickson. We need to have him this week because, Bruce Arians, speaking of bulletin board material, Bruce Arians gave Hendrickson bulletin board material for the entire 2020 season when he said he's probably the worst guy on the field. You can't block him, and here he is. He's got 13.5 sacks.
Most of which came at the expense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He got 3 consecutive sacks of Brady on that Sunday night game. Only 2 of them counted because one of them was a penalty, a BS penalty, but a penalty nonetheless. I thought Anzalone had a great game.
Yes, he sure did.
It helped that the Bears were running the football a lot, and that's what his strength is. I liked, of course, Sheldon Rankins had a good game. He got the 1 sack, but I thought the whole interior had pressure all day. Onyemata, Malcolm Brown, they all had a good day. Even though we didn't sack Trubisky, they couldn't do anything offensively. They really
there were quite a few, if you want to call it that, near misses of Trubisky, and he just happened to wiggle the right way and get out of it.
And he ended up throwing the ball away because nobody's open. So
and that's a win.
That is a win. It's not always about the sacks; it's about the pressures. With Brady, however, you can't let him get away and get by, because he'll by the time he'll make the right throw. Trubisky, I'm not worried about him. He's going to make the bad decision, but Brady won't. So it's important in this game that this defensive line not only get that interior pressure, and I'm talking about Rankins, Onyemata, and Brown getting in Brady's face, but Hendrickson, Davenport, Granderson, and Cam Jordan coming around those edges, keeping Brady in that pocket and making him nervous, because Arians is an idiot. I never thought much about his coaching to begin with, but watching that Washington game showed me how much of an idiot this man really is.
Well, I'll go a step further than that. If Alex Smith had played that game, Tampa would have lost. I believe that.
Well, I thought that quarterback did all he could. I thought
he did. He played a very good game.
I think if Washington could have run the football better, they had a dependable back. I think Washington wins that game because that quarterback picked that zone apart. He really did. Heineke was his name?
Yeah, Heineke.
Yeah. Okay. I thought he really did a great job picking that secondary apart. And the whole time I'm watching this going, Drew Brees would love playing against this defense like this. That zone defense with holes all over the place where they were just sitting there in the zone, he would love to play that. I mean,
well, I hope that we go into this game Sunday night, just part 3 of a 3-part story, same story as the last 2.
Yeah,
because we beat them in week 1, and it was never really in doubt.
No,
and then that Sunday night game, we just throttled them. So it's obvious that we're capable of doing this. Now, it's not going to be the same. Now, it's hard enough to beat a team once, but you beat a team twice in a season. It's playing them for a third time. All bets are off, man. You can rest assured that somebody like Brady is going to be prepared for this.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I said Bruce Arians is an idiot. Bruce Arians, I don't know how many of you guys remember, Al Davis talking about his Raiders, the Raiders of the 60s, where he says, football has a maxim. Take what the defense gives you. I've always operated by a different philosophy. We take what we want. Well, Al Davis thought like that. Mike Martz, when he was running the greatest show on turf, thought that way. And I think Bruce Arians is the exact same way. He is going to do what he wants to do regardless of how the defense is playing.
Yes.
In that Sunday night game, you go back and watch that game. Rather than running the football and throwing short underneath passes and being patient with long drives, so to rest your defense, he is forcing Brady to throw it deep. He wants the big play. We're going to throw the big play. We're going to get the big bomb, get down the field in 2 or 3 plays and score. If you want to play a video game, you want to play a track meet, we're going to play a track meet, go score for score with you. That's what we're going to do. Problem is, the defense knows you're going to do that. The defense knows you're not going to run the football. They're going to be sitting back there waiting for that deep ball. And when you throw it, the safeties jump on the routes, you throw 3 to 4 interceptions. And that's what he does. That's the kind of person Bruce Arians is. No risk it, no biscuits is saying. But it's the same mentality as Mike Martz. That's why Hazlitt always seemed to beat Mike Martz as incompetent as his teams were, he beat them because he knew Mike Martz would stop running the football at some point in the game because I don't have patience for that shit. Throw it deep. Torrey Holt, throw it deep. Go to I'm trying to think about his names now on that the greatest show on turf team. But Ricky Prohl, go deep. Just start throwing the ball deep. We're gonna get him. We'll get him. And Al Davis the same way. Throw it deep. Let's go. Play that Raiders music from NFL films. I want to see that Rainbow, the Mad Bomber, Darryl LaMonica. Throw that ball deep to Warren Wells. Throw it to Fred Blitnikoff, Cliff Branch. Speed kills. Let's go. Throw it deep every time. And that's the mentality he has. So what we have to do, I would not be surprised to see Arians start the game by trying to pound Mr. Softy, Leonard Fournette, at the Saints defense. You got to shut his ass down early. I don't know if Jones is going to play or not. I don't know if he's going to be healthy enough to play. He was a scratch last week. Isaac Bruce. Thank you. My son jumped in. Isaac Bruce. And so did Calvin. Akiem dropped the ball too, but I was thinking about just the big speed threats they had on the outside, the old Rams teams. But, if Jones is going to play, then you got somebody who can run and catch a little bit. I don't think Shady McCoy is going to be in out there at all. But I think he's going to try and send Leonard Fournette early into that line and try and get the Saints to play to respect the run. But you're going to see Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams 20 yards back from the football, stay in the deep middle. And those linebackers, you're going to see them in the middle with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on one end as the big nickel package. And here he comes. After no success running the football, the 3-by-2 lineup or the 2-by-2 lineup, he's going to have his receivers out there, and two guys are going to run go routes, and Lattimore is going to shut down his old buddy, number 13.
Evans.
And I know it's Evans, but Mike Evans. Godwin they'll probably put Antonio Brown on the outside, so you're going to have Jack Rabbit Jenkins on Antonio Brown, and you probably have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson covering for the most part Godwin during the game. But that's what, and then he's going to try and every so often have ancient Gronk or Cameron Brate come across the middle, try and get first downs. And if we can, he does have, Calvin says, Fournette's got a bad history with Chauncey. This is the other thing I was going to talk about. The Bucs have struggled, their backs have struggled catching passes out of the backfield. That is true. They also suck at blitz pickup. All of them do. All of them suck at blitz pickup. That's the other reason why the Saints can get to Brady often. Hakeem was my favorite Rams player, especially as a returner. I bet it was. And Fournette, this is the funny thing. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has issues with guys from the SEC. He was a Florida guy. Fournette's LSU. He was going at Calvin Ridley when he was playing Atlanta. That's Alabama. He loves SEC guys too. So it'll be funny. But what I'm saying is Arians is going to be frustratingly predictable, but we have to take that away. We have to take that stuff away. I don't know if Cameron Brate's a secret Saints killer or not. He's the most effective tight end that's on the Bucs roster. But Saints killers are usually guys who score a ton of points against us, and Cameron Brate doesn't quite fit that category. I'm thinking more like Joey Galloway and Golden Tate. Those guys, Greg Olson. Those guys really more Saints killers. Steve Smith, much more. Scotty Miller is the X factor. Scotty Miller is an X factor, but Brady doesn't like to look his way too often. Brady tries to force it to Antonio Brown and Mike Evans a lot more than he does going to Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller gets his token 1 or 2 catches. Now I'm going to say this and watch him have a monster freaking game, but he Brady just doesn't have that chemistry at Miller like he tries to get with Evans and with Brown. And I think that's where he's going to be going a lot of the time, to those guys. We'll see, though. We will see. But
like I said earlier, we've proven that we're up to the challenge. Now let's just go out there, take care of business, and same story, different chapter.
Well, that's why we beat them 38-3 last time. I don't think we'll do that kind of score.
No.
But it's why we beat them the first time. It's why we beat them when Jameis Winston was there. Dennis Allen knows how to defend Bruce Arians' offense. What he likes to do, what they like to do defensively, Dennis Allen knows what Arians wants to do with that. Offense, their defense against our offense, I'm a little more concerned about, because Bowles likes to blitz. I think he attacks the interior of the line again, just like the Bears did. He tries to do a lot of the same things. But that would be a fight that would be continuing to this day. That fist fight would be continuing to this day. They'd still be fighting.
Yeah.
That would be an epic battle. But how the Saints block and respond to Bowles when he tries to blitz, that's going to be the difference in this game, I think. If we can handle the blitz and we force Bowles to play zone defense, because his guys can't play man-to-man. If we have to force them to play zone, and Brees has the time to pick those defenses apart, that will be the difference. I think that would be how we win this game. And special teams. I think I'm worried about Will Lutz. I think he's hurt. I don't know. Do you know what's going on with Will Lutz?
I haven't heard a word.
Okay, Will Lutz.
But clearly something is an issue.
He's missed, of course, he's missed a field goal. It seemingly every week since, I'm looking back at my schedule, probably since the Atlanta game in November. Maybe even earlier than that. Oh, I know in the Bears game, the first game, he missed one, so could go back all the way to the Carolina game in October. But he's missed at least one field goal in all those games, or an extra point. So they brought in Blair Walsh. Now, Blair Walsh was a former Vikings kicker who most famously missed the extra point, I believe it was, on the Seattle Vikings playoff game. The last one, I think it was in 2014, maybe 2015, the last open-aired game that they played in the Minnesota Golden Gopher Stadium before they built the glass palace. That was the last game that the Vikings played outdoors like that, and he missed a chip shot. And it was like, it wasn't even like it kind of hooked. It was a Russell Ertzlaben special. I mean, the ball went, he's facing this way, the ball goes this way. It's like me playing golf. That was a slice from hell. I mean, it just went that far out there. So, but yeah, I'm worried about that. But at the same time, I think Morstead's playing a lot better. His punts are a lot better. And Deontay Harris on punt returns and kick returns, that'll be the hidden yardage.
Yeah, so, and we definitely going to need that.
Absolutely. Quick prediction then before we go. What do you think? What do you think the score is going to be? You don't have to. Nobody holding you to this,
dude. Every time I make one of those kind of predictions, we lose.
Okay, so do you think the Saints are going to win?
I do.
All right.
It's hard for me to pick against the Saints, not just because I'm a Saints guy, but you got to look at the body of work this season. 2 convincing victories over this team, and it's the same guys out there and the same coaches calling the plays. I like what Calvin says, like 31-26, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think the Saints should win this game by 10. I think they end up going to. Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. He hyperextended that leg. He could have injured a groin muscle. I think about that slip he did in Atlanta on that extra point. I mean, he really hyperextended that leg, and I don't know what it is. I don't think it's just a slump. It could be, but I don't know. But I think the Saints can win at least by 10 this week. I think they do go to the NFC Championship game. I do think Green Bay beats the Rams, though. Aaron Rodgers is playing on a different level right now. Aaron Donald got hurt. He injured his ribs.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the locker room. He stood out on the side of the field, but never went back in the game. You know, if it's like strained cartilage or whatever, he tries to play, but I don't think he's going to be nearly as effective. But I don't trust Jared Goff.
At all.
If the Rams can't, and I saw Cooper Kupp injured his knee right before the end of the game too. If the Rams can't run the football and they got to throw to keep up with the Packers, I just don't see that happening. I think they lose that game. So if we win, we end up going to Green Bay, which is what I expect. The NFC game in Lambeau Field. But we need to kill the vampire. We need to put a stake through the heart of Tom Brady, because I do not want to. Yeah, you're right, Calvin. Wrong time to have a slump for Lutz. I just don't want to have to deal with the Brady hype anymore.
Yes.
These guys are acting like, for example, if it was the Bucs who beat us twice and this was a rematch, we wouldn't be hearing about, how hard it is to beat the team 3 times. But because it's Brady, this is the narrative we're getting. I don't think that's I think we're just a superior team. They have talent, but we have the better team.
Absolutely.
We have the better coaches. We have the better team than them. On the AFC side, then, who do you see going? It's Buffalo and the Browns. Is it Buffalo and the Browns?
I think no.
It's a Browns in Kansas City, isn't it?
Yeah. Browns go to Kansas City. Buffalo plays Baltimore.
Okay.
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm expecting the AFC Championship to be Buffalo and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Buffalo is just playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah, it's Buffalo and the Ravens. It's Buffalo and the Ravens who come on Saturday. It's the Rams Packers first, then the Ravens and Buffalo, and then Sunday we get the Browns in Kansas City in the first game, and then we come on after that on Fox. So I think Kansas City handles Cleveland because I just don't think Cleveland's got enough weapons to keep up with Kansas City. And I think the Packers beat the Rams. All subject, of course, how Aaron Donald is out there. So, you end up getting Buffalo, the number 1 versus number 2 in both championship games in my world. It's going to be Buffalo at Kansas City and us at Green Bay. And that's where we'll be talking next week.
I sure hope you're right.
Yep. Anyway, all right, guys. Thank y'all for sticking with us. I don't know if you got anything left to say. I mean, I've been talking the whole time.
No, I'm good, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time Under the Dome, hopefully for the NFC Championship game, our 4th NFC Championship appearance since 2006. Hopefully this time is like how it was when we had our 2nd NFC Championship experience and we go to the Super Bowl. But we'll take care of this one step at a time. Right now, it's all about beating Tampa Bay. I think we can do that. All right, guys. All right, guys. Thank y'all, and we'll see you next time on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.